on to example 2, which is going to be solving proportions using just mental math. So I'm actually going to zoom in on these. These are straight math, but I'm going to zoom so I have more room to write. So this first proportion, two ratios set equal to each other. This first proportion is 3 over 2 is equal to x over 8. So one way to solve a proportion is just using mental math. So the first thing that you can think about is on the level that we have two numbers and no variable. So like up top, 3 and x. X is the variable, so we don't want to use that one. But down here on the bottom, 2 and 8, we can think about, in order to go from 2 to 8, what are we multiplying by? So 2 times what number is equal to 8? And if you think about it, you could also think of it as 8 divided by 2. But either way, you're going to get 4. So 2 times 4 is equal to 8. In a ratio, we're always going to be proportional, which means that it's always going to be by the same amount that we're multiplying. So if we're multiplying that bottom by 4 to get to 8, we're going to be multiplying the top by 4 to get to that number. So if we were trying to figure out what x is on top, if 2 times 4 is equal to 8, then we would know that 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So x would be equal to 12. And that's really all you do for mental math. So let's try the other example that's right next to this one. This one says 7 over z is equal to 14 over n. So same as before, we want to first look and see which one of these straight across has both numbers. So if we look here, 7 and 14, those are both numbers. So we can work with those two numbers up top. So 7 times what is equal to 14? Or you can think of it as 14 divided by 7. What's that number that we are working with to get from one to the other? So 7 times 2 is what we get to make 14. So that means on the bottom that you could do z times 2 would equal 10. But hold on, Mrs. Painter. We don't know what z is, which is exactly why I've been kind of saying it two ways. So if the other way I've told you how to think of it, and I think I need my eraser this time, is to think of it, instead of thinking of it as times 2, like 7 times 2, we could also think of it as 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. So we're moving in this direction. So the same way, down here we could say 10 divided by 2 is equal to z. So then we'll know that 10 divided by 2 is 5, so z would be equal to 5. And again, this is how you would solve a proportion just using mental math. So at this time, I'm going to have you continue on, and I'm going to have you, on your own, solve these two problems. So do your best at using mental math to solve these two proportions.